The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Gwilda Wiyaka's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the Science of Magic or endorsed in any manner by Gwilda Wiyaka, Relmar McConnell Media Company, its affiliated networks, stations, or employees. Welcome to the Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, a program dedicated to uncovering the unified nature of reality and humanity's ever-evolving place as truly galactic beings. For more information on the Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, visit us online at www.thescienceofmagic.net.
Welcome to the Science of Magic, a place where science and magic come together to transform fact into evolving truth. We can be found on our website, www.thescienceofmagic.net. I'm your host, Gwilda Wiyaka. This hour, we'll be exploring the House of Many Mansions. The design of the human mind is a marvelous thing. As a shamanic practitioner, I've come to appreciate the sophistication and complexity of its workings in numerous ways. Humans were designed to be a clear channel from spirit or the quantum level to the physical. This requires all four levels of the human body, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, to be in alignment. The original job of the shaman was to maintain health and the clarity of this connection. Blocks to this interface cause what is referred to as spiritual illness. These frequency imbalances filter down through all four bodies and eventually manifest as dysfunction on all levels. Therefore, any healing or correction must take place on all four levels before realignment can be established and healing can take place. This hour, we'll be dancing with the interface between spirit and mind. In the spiritual or quantum level, trauma results in a disconnection from the bandwidth of frequencies involved in the traumatic event. For example, being loved and accepted is viewed by most people as paramount to survival. A person who is repeatedly attacked for demonstrating pride by having love and acceptance withdrawn will eventually disconnect from the frequencies that facilitate pride and self-esteem. This is followed by the mental level, eliminating any thought or experience that could lead to self-esteem. By rerouting neurological pathways, the clever brain reframes positive self-image into negative in order to avoid triggering a prideful response. This changing pride into self-esteem, into shame and guilt. Also, through rerouting neurological pathways, the brain compartmentalizes the memory of the damaging event and the resulting reframing, so it's never accessed and or reevaluated. The brain then sets up new subroutines to distract and redirect the thought process. Anytime a person is triggered by outside events into experiencing emotions that may in turn threaten the compartmentalization, the original trauma is immediately projected outward. This results in the projection of the events of the past onto the present, rather than accurately perceiving the current moment. We are then living in the illusion of the past, rather than present reality and infinite possibility. The compartmentalization capabilities of the mind were originally designed to serve as systematic transducers, functioning to translate spiritual frequency into thought and understanding. These many mansions contained in the house of the mind have been systematically reduced to chambers of trauma and denial, effectively disabling humans from being spiritual information into the physical world. As long as the compartments of our mind are compacted with denial, guilt, and shame, we're prompted by our conditioning rather than right action in any given moment. The mental fall from enlightenment to denial has taken place over multiple generations. In order to reconnect with our birthright as spiritual beings, we must dismantle a labyrinth of personal and generational distortion in the functioning of the mind. These are the days that the truth can't hide. The increasing frequency on our planet, due to its position in the galaxy, is shining light into dark spaces heretofore invisible. We now have the rare opportunity to roll up our sleeves and clear out old compartments, redesign the mansions, and take charge of our lives. In so doing, we can build the stairway to heaven for ourselves and others. The difficult thing to figure out is, where do you start this process? How do you get it going? If we're unaware of its compartments, how can we find them and move through them? My answer? Set your intention to do so. And many fine people who came to be of service at this time will appear to help you on your way. My guest this hour, certified hypnotist Michael J. Stone, is one of these fine people of service. After a short break, we'll introduce Mike and explore the concepts of shamanism, hypnosis, human consciousness, personal empowerment, and spiritual evolution. You are listening to The Science of Magic. Visit our website, www.thescienceofmagic.net. The scientist and the mystic have been on an age-old, relentless search with one thing in common. They seek truth. Their paths converge in the 40,000-year-old practice of shamanism, an ancient science delving to the quantum level of life, facilitating healing, manifestation, and evolution. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka, the founder and director of Path Home Shamanic Arts School, a unique Colorado State certified occupational school training shamanic practitioners and teachers. We also provide classes for empowering personal lives through shamanism. Our certification classes are in week-long segments enabling international participation, and online classes and long-distance shamanic healing sessions are available. Come discover the science of magic in the limitless world of shamanism. www.findyourpathhome.com. Welcome back. This is The Science of Magic, dedicated to unification and evolution of consciousness. I'm your host, Gwilda Wiyaka. Though I often refer my clients to a skilled hypnotist, I know very little about the powerful modality beyond its effectiveness. So I'm really excited about our guest this hour, Michael J. Stone. Michael is a certified hypnotist and medical hypnotist who works with people to help them improve their life situations. He uses hypnosis, NLP, neurologistic programming, and EFT, emotional freedom technique, in his work. Michael is a student of energy and alternate methods of healing and has a certification in matrix energetics and quantum entrainment. He also uses Hawaiian Huna methods as well as Dr. Eric Pearl's reconnection techniques to help his clients succeed. Michael has investigated many aspects of the paranormal, how they interface with mind-body workings, and how the mind can work with these phenomena. He's at South Florida Hypnosis, www.southfloridahypnosis.com. Michael, thank you so much for your generosity of spirit and for sharing it with it and your knowledge here on The Science of Magic.
Well, thank you very, very much for giving me the opportunity. I loved what you said a minute or two ago, and I wish we could imprint that on pretty much everyone, because so many of us, I think all of us, to one degree or another, are stuck at certain times in certain ways.
Boy, that is so true. I've got a personal question for
I
you,
like
Michael.
the chambers. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
What? Oh, I liked the phrase you used, the chambers of denial, and how we fall into denial. I love that. That's a very beautiful way to put it. That we're programmed, see, by design, though. I think we're being programmed to that. It's not just what is natural, it's how people are programming us. And that's kind of a hypnotist's view of it.
I couldn't agree more. I
agree with virtually everything you said, in spades. The thing is, we are not programmed to find ways out.
Exactly.
I know it's hard to say. And throughout my life, and I'm a mature person, I have run companies and been supervisors, and I always notice the people who find a way and the people who choose not to find a way. And it's almost a conscious decision, but it's not. It's really subconscious, but it's almost a conscious decision because of how they rationalize it.
Exactly. So when they're confronted with either facing their denials and opening up one of those dreaded compartments, there is a moment of choice, don't you think, Michael?
I believe, certainly it's choice, but what goes on is it goes back to what we would call the subconscious level, and there is no conscious or subconscious. We make all of this stuff up. We are the oneness, and then we expand. We do that. Most people who are listening to this understand this metaphysically. What we do, make a model, and the model separates the conscious working from the unconscious working. The big problem we have when we talk to people is they really believe that their consciousness, the conscious awareness they have, is determining everything, but it's probably only 10%, whereas 90% of what we do is all done at an unconscious level.
And that's a scary figure, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yes, it is, especially when you start to work with people. So taking what you said, I want to kind of like have people understand deeper what you said. There's like a fallback to a position that effectively has been embedded in our minds. And I know I kind of manipulated your words a little bit there, but that's, I think, how you were alluding to what goes on. How do we fall into, this spot where we don't dig ourselves out? Because we've been taught not to. We've been taught failure. We've been taught lack. We've been taught limitation. We've just been constantly inundated with that type of mentality every day, every way, and a prime example is probably the television news.
Boy, you won't get any argument from me on that one. It's like programming on all levels. But the thing of it is, we need to stay informed. And on the other hand, I think we need to be really mindful what we're pouring in there when we're just sitting in front of a TV set. Choose your programming, if you will. You know, Michael, as a shamanic practitioner, I'm able to access information that's stored in these compartments of a person's mind from the quantum level. And I offer metaphors and rituals for the person to use to locate and clear and store the trauma and reframing that found therein. Some people have great difficulty accessing and processing mentally, even with shamanic help. So do you mind sharing with us how hypnotism and some of your other tools can help with this?
All right. If we use, I would like people to kind of take everything they know about hypnosis or NLP and put it in a bowl. All right? I mean, it really is. This is the easiest way to do it. It has, because if they have any kinds of thought that it's about going under or being unconscious or being out of control, if they're supposed to be susceptible, if it's about power of suggestion or concentration or relaxation, just take all of it, put it in the bowl, shake it all up really good, and then dump it someplace where it's not going to come back. Now,
I love that.
The definition of hypnosis, you get a chance to fill the bowl. If you've done Huna, you know filling the bowl. Hypnosis is a state of mind or mood where your analytical factor is bypassed and you will accept a suggestion. And I do it again because it's simple, but I want people to truly follow it. It's a state of mind or mood where your analytical factors are bypassed and you will accept a suggestion.
That's beautiful.
Now the next question is, when are we in this state of mind or mood? We don't know. However, we know that when you stick somebody in front of a television, their brainwaves change and they shift to virtually a state of mind or mood where their analytical factor is bypassed. So if there are suggestions given during the watching of a particular television show, they can be accepted into the unconscious mind. Now, it always deepens from there. What have we put in? When we were little children, until about 5 years old, we were in this state of mind continually. Anybody that has children or grandchildren and pays attention to them will realize they are learning almost at the speed of light. The odds of them learning something, in speed that is a function of how we don't want them to learn it. So if there are certain words that we misuse or are inappropriate, they will learn that immediately. First time, first hearing. However, picking up their clothes, not so much. So I'm not quite sure why that is, but that is the fate that we're with. So when we're working with hypnosis, the model we use is that these type of things that we are learning go into the unconscious mind, and they become our belief system. They are our belief system. They establish the rules that we live life with. We can, we can't, we should. And we move through life taking those things we learned, kind of shielding them and embellishing them and making them stronger. So if you have a strong belief, if you're brought up at 5 years old to believe in religion A, you will go through life increasing, usually, not all the time, and certainly not in your case, increasing our belief in that religion and defending. And you alluded to this in what you said before. We defend against whatever that belief is. This is the way the mind, if we make a model of it, this is the way the mind works. After about 5 years old, we've built up enough understanding that if we hear something that we agree with, it comes into us, goes into our unconscious mind. If it is different, we reject it. Now, going again back to what you said, if you have a child that was brought up to be a failure, told that they're no good, they'll never amount to anything, that goes in, becomes their operating system, they will shield it. When you come along and say, you're really smart, you can do anything you want, you can expand your life easily, they reject it. If you say, you're just a jerk, they'll accept it. They reject the things that will make them better. But this is unfortunately what we have to deal with. So when we're looking at the technique of hypnosis, it is really looking at the technique to deal with how our minds truly are and are operating. So people are thinking they have to go to a bizarre state of hypnosis. No, they're in hypnosis all the time and can go into hypnosis easily. Actually, when you go to sleep and wake up, you're going through an alpha state, which is a state of hypnosis. This was the basis, by the way, of people trying to learn while they were asleep by putting headphones on and listening to French and Spanish. I thought they'd be able to pick up enough time to do that. So what we do when we deal with hypnosis is we're trying to get in to those parts of the mind that have been slid into, as you would say, that are telling us we should be failures, and then reversing it. We do it actually not only through the process of hypnosis or NLP, but I'm an extreme believer in changing our words. And when I ask people to change their words, I ask them, can you tell me what the difference between hurrying and going fast is? And they'll look at me and, kind of quizzically. I'll say, actually, definitively, hurrying is a state of mind, whereas going fast is a rate of speed.
I love it. Michael,
now, when you're hurrying,
we're going to have to take a break here and pick up on the other side. This is just wonderful. I love the way it's dovetailing with shamanism and how a person can change their mind, change their life, and find personal empowerment. We'll return to our discussion after this short break. You're listening to The Science of Magic. I'm your host, Gwilda Wiyaka. You want to hear more? Previous broadcasts of innovative episodes can always be found on our website, www.thescienceofmagic.net. The scientist and the mystic have been on an age-old, relentless search with one thing in common. They seek truth. Their paths converge in the 40,000-year-old practice of shamanism, an ancient science delving to the quantum level of life, facilitating healing, manifestation, and evolution. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka, the founder and director of Path Home Shamanic Arts School, a unique Colorado State certified occupational school training shamanic practitioners and teachers. We also provide classes for empowering personal lives through shamanism. Our certification classes are in week-long segments enabling international participation, and online classes and long-distance shamanic healing sessions are available. Come discover the science of magic in the limitless world of shamanism. www.findyourpathhome.com. Welcome back. This is the Science of Magic, a place where magic and science come together to promote enlightenment. Visit us online at www.thescienceofmagic.net. I'm your host, Gwilda Wiyaka. Our guest this hour is Michael J. Stone, certified hypnotist and medical hypnotist who works with people to help them improve their life situations at South Florida Hypnosis. His website, southfloridahypnosis.com. Michael, during the break, you said you had thought up a surprise for me. Oh, do tell.
Okay. Sometimes a story will illustrate things and elucidate. I have a little boy. His mother said to me, he has stomach problems, and he's nervous and has agita. Now, this will dovetail with your shamanistic experiences, because you'll see they're the same, whether you learn it metaphysically or hypnosis-wise or shamanistically. I said to him, does this really bother you? And he said, yeah. I said, how often does it bother you? And I just talked to him a little bit. I said, okay, I want you to just look at your stomach. Imagine you could be on the outside and look at your stomach and stare at it a little bit, and you'll see a little opening will be there, right in the center, like a little spot, a little white spot. Then I want you to look into that spot, and you'll see it's like a tunnel. And just keep looking and looking, and at the end of that tunnel, you're going to see something. Now keep looking and looking and looking, and he did, and he said, it's my father. I said, oh, your father's in the tunnel. I said, tell me about your father. He says, well, my father left us, and I never hear from him. I feel like it's something I did wrong. Okay? Now, it had a good ending. It's a happy ending. We don't necessarily have to do the happy ending. It did work out well because he was able to hear and understand the truth. Now, at that point, you're going through, the child is automatically putting himself in a state of mind or mood where his analytical factor is bypassed. And the answers are within him. He only needed a technique and a guide to put him through a process where he could focus and see what was inside of him and what was really bothering him.
So basically,
now,
Michael, you're leading him into his own shamanic journey, into his own body to find his own answers.
Yes, and it is physical, it is spiritual, and it is emotional.
I love it.
And I'm underlining the things that you mentioned at the very beginning. It is all connected. I one time had a woman who was a nurse in an oncology unit, and I said to her, I don't think that oncology works from the statistics I've been shown. And she said, oh, yes, it does. And I said, who gets better? And she said, well, the people who want to get better, of course. And then what she said, she finally heard. And she said, oh, my God, I never realized that. It is all connected. And people are not brought up. They're brought up to believe that the body, pharmacological people, will take care of it. And you go see a minister or a priest, they're going to take care of your spiritual aspect. And if you have an emotional problem, your guess is as good as mine where you go. However, they're all interconnected. Hypnosis is a process of helping people find their answers spiritually, emotionally, and effectively physically, because what you had said before, I may express it a little different because we each learned a little differently, which is the illness appears in the external spirit before it shows up in the body. External spirit's a little bit different. It's not the spirit nominally that's in your body, but it shows up. It's on the spiritual plane. Your illnesses appear on the spiritual plane. They then become manifest in the body physically.
Exactly.
So with this child, he had an emotional problem. And that problem was a spiritual problem because it affected his whole life spiritually, and then it finally affected his body. And then the reverse happens. I was not interested in doing anything medically with the child. I always check to make sure the doctors are okay. I'm not trying to make any diagnosis or anything. But when it clears up emotionally, spiritually, the child gets better. And the child did get better. All right? So to speak, the manifestation of his illness went away when he became at peace with his relationship with his father, and knowing he was okay, and he did not need his father effectively to validate him. So when you're using hypnosis, it's not a magic tool. It just seems like magic. And what we're looking for is find a way that the person finds the answers that are within them.
That's
and
so beautiful.
You can use,
I mean, yeah. So, it's like if you change your mind, you can change your life. But many of us don't even know where we've made up our minds through this protective reframing. So he had viewed himself in one way that was causing the dysfunction based on a thought process.
Okay,
Is
excellent.
that what you're seeing?
Now we're hypnotizing ourselves with words, number one. And number two, our subconscious mind has a particular facility that works very well. Sometimes. The subconscious mind believes everything is now. The conscious mind goes past, present, or future. Subconscious mind, everything is now. So when we're working with people who are hanging on to the past, we have to get the unconscious, subconscious mind to understand at some fashion. We have to program it to understand the past is gone. Actually, we usually run about an hour working through people to kind of condition their subconscious mind to accept this. Because almost anyone out there can think of things that bother them today that happened in the past that effectively they haven't let go. They can say, let it go. And everybody walks around and says, well, that's in the past. Let it go. Let it go. How do you let it go?
That is the key.
By getting to the unconscious, subconscious, and impressing that mind, that part of our mind, that the past is gone. And there are tools and techniques that do it. And they turn out to be pretty simple. However, we have to condition the mind a little bit to get it to accept the tool. And one of the things that you can do to jump to something else is people are always hypnotizing themselves with their words. They say, I can't, I have to, I've got to, I need to, I must, and I should. And those all are effectively self-condemning words. So people say, I want to change my life. One of the very, very first things I say to them, and right after I say be in the now, is change your words. Because your words become your thoughts become your beliefs determine your actions, and your actions determine your results. And when you get that result, it goes back and you start talking about it differently. So there's a loop. And the easiest way to get into that loop to create change is by changing your words. Get rid of those words I gave you, have to, got to, need to, must, should, and can't, to the greatest degree. There are occasions where you have to use them. And you replace them with I can, I could, I choose, I want. So when a person says, I got to go to work tomorrow, No, you don't. You could stay in bed. Technically, you could. You can say, okay, I can, I could, I choose, I want. Let's try I want. I want to go to work tomorrow. Well, why would you want to? Because you made effectively a contract with your employer. And you want to be a person of your word and make good on your contract. So to be a person of your word, which of course you want to do, you do want to go to work. People start to see things differently as they analyze it. But they do have to spend some time hearing their thoughts. What they used to call the monkey chatter that goes on all of the time, listening to the negative thoughts and reverse them. Listen to the negative words and
Michael, this has been a beautiful surprise. I love the way it blends in with everything, and such deep wisdom is carried in every word you've said. I'd like to pick up with this on the other side, but we do have to take a break. We'll be back on the flip side of this short break. You're listening to The Science of Magic, the place where our altruistic professionals of science and the esoteric create common ground for the betterment of our world. The scientist and the mystic have been on an age-old, relentless search with one thing in common. They seek truth. Their paths converge in the 40,000-year-old practice of shamanism, an ancient science delving to the quantum level of life, facilitating healing, manifestation, and evolution. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka, the founder and director of Path Home Shamanic Arts School, a unique Colorado State certified occupational school training shamanic practitioners and teachers. We also provide classes for empowering personal lives through shamanism. Our certification classes are in week-long segments enabling international participation, and online classes and long-distance shamanic healing sessions are available. Come discover the science of magic in the limitless world of shamanism. www.findyourpathhome.com. Welcome back. This is The Science of Magic, bringing together gifted people of service to the world. Our website is www.thescienceofmagic.net. I'm your host, Gwilda Wiyaka. Our very special guest this hour is Michael J. Stone, certified hypnotist and medical hypnotist who works with people to help them improve their life situations at South Florida Hypnosis. His website, www.southfloridahypnosis.com. Welcome back, Michael. And during the break, you were saying something else that I wanted you to share with our listeners. Do you mind sharing it?
Okay. When we study Huna, Hawaiian methodology of shamanism, the first rule is the world is what we think it is. You can probably spend an hour meditating on that. However, what I want to ask people is, are you listening to what you're thinking? Most people don't. And that's why listening to our thoughts, changing them, reversing them, working with them is so important. Our thoughts are heavily driven by our emotions, but our emotions are chemicals in our body that are driven by our belief system. If we believe the tiger is a terror to us, when we see that tiger, we'll feel real emotional. If we're supposed to be sad because we've been taught to be sad, we will be sad. So we get all these emotions, and nobody is realizing that it is our mind talking to us. Now, we don't understand that language. We're having all these emotions, and we don't understand what our minds are telling us. When we're sad, it's telling us to take care of someone else. When we're angry, we should get other people to change. When we're guilty, we should be changing. But we just sit in these emotions. So as we sit in the emotions, they're determining our thoughts. And since the world is what we think it is, our world shifts and changes based on the emotions we're feeling. So we want to listen to what we think, listen to what we feel, and go into, why do we feel that way? What am I really being told by my inner self? How's that?
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Because you know what I've experienced is, like we were talking about, the compartments in our mind where we've stuffed past trauma, the emotion being projected out into the now that was from before. Then we reframe our whole experience around our history versus what's going on in the moment. Is this what you're talking about?
Sure. All of us are maturing. We're all gaining years. But yet, we'll say, oh, I can't believe time went fast. I can't believe it's today. Wow. That's because you're driven by your unconscious mind. It's always now. It's always now. There is no real past to your unconscious mind. So those compartments that people have shoved stuff in are just popping open saying, you should still feel guilty. You should still feel angry. There's no way to deal with it except to get into that compartment, face it, open it up, and say to it, it's gone. You can let go now. On.
Exactly. I mean, how freeing
and
is
when
that
you
to
press your mind with that, it happens.
And
by the way, love and forgiveness cover everything.
With what you want to experience?
I love the word. It's what you want. And, you had effectively said it before. When the student is ready, the teacher will be there. I'll tell you, 10 experiences where people kind of ran into me. And I ended up conversing like this with them. And I said, I will guarantee you within the last 2 weeks, you've been thinking about looking for someone to talk to about this stuff. And everyone has said yes. Every one of them said yes. And this is the way, this is how we get our way through life, through our thoughts. And we want to see what the thoughts are. We want to check our beliefs. We want to understand rationally whether our beliefs are valid and move through it and feel how we are driven emotionally, because those emotions are telling us our hidden beliefs.
That's amazing.
If I could add this fast, I want pretty much everybody to kind of visualize this when they hear it. If I say to you, there's a rabbit, and he's there eating his grass, and out in the distance, the wolf walks by. The rabbit runs. Almost everyone will say, the wolf made the rabbit run. And they actually believe the wolf made the rabbit run. And it's totally untrue. The mind of rabbit made the rabbit run when he saw the wolf.
Exactly.
So
we
when
always have
we
choice.
are responding, yes, but we get our inner minds have us do things based on how we have been conditioned, what we have learned, what has gone into our inner mind. So it is not just the learning that it's a function of our inner mind. It's the understanding we've been seeing it incorrectly and speaking about it incorrectly all along. So how would we move to change it when our apparent belief is that the wolf caused it? The outside causations made us who we are, rather than our minds are making us who we are.
Don't you believe we can change this at any point?
Yes, as long as we take the proper steps and work. Nominally, it's all changeable. I mean, we really, when I say nominally, it's because if you believe you can grow wings and fly, I don't think you're understanding it. You can get an airplane and fly so you can get where you want. So there are some limitations, but to the greatest degree, we can change our lives amazingly so. And actually, simply, if the people will listen to them, they'll find if they're scrupulous about it, their lives will change materially.
That's beautiful. Michael, where can somebody find you and or a reliable hypnotist to help them with this stuff?
Wait a minute, I lost that. Could you say that again, please?
I said, where can people, can you give people advice on how to find someone like yourself or yourself to help them with, working with hypnosis and all this beautiful wisdom you've been sharing?
Well, I work through the National Guild of Hypnotists, which is, an international agency. They can check for people in their areas, and then they have to ask that person certain questions that are personal to them. How do they follow? I've had people who are Native Americans say, we're thinking about it, but what is your belief system? And I'm like, sit down, you won't believe it. They're expecting something different. And I'll say, oh, okay, yeah, we can work with you.
We can work with you, yeah.
So, so they want to find out. For instance, one of the tools that you use upon occasion is to regress the person to this time. Sometimes you regress a person into a past life. Everybody has different beliefs. I don't think everything is in a past life. I believe in past life because people tell me about it, and that is what is there in effect. And if I work with it and I work with them and they change, that's what works. But many times you just go back into this life to see where you made that decision. I had a woman who was having a big problem gaining weight, and she went back. I asked her to go back to a time when she decided that she needed to gain weight. She went back to her kitchen, and her husband was telling her he wanted a divorce.
That'll do it.
Somehow her subconscious mind made the decision.
It's been so wonderful having you on the show, and I'd love to have you back anytime you're available. You just let me know.
Thank you.
But we're going to have to close, and we'll see you, I hope, in the near future. This has been The Science of Magic.
Okay.
Remember, you can always find us on our website, www.thescienceofmagic.net, where you can connect with us on our special social media, join our mailing list, or listen to past episodes. Until next time, dear ones, may you be blessed with knowledge, comforted with love, as you reclaim your house of many mansions.